Hello and welcome to India Today. I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
And this is Maruthi Acharya, and we just completed watching the latest Malayalam film Bha Bha Ba.
My experience somewhere in the middle because one, I didn't get a lot of the references. There's not a lot of comedy in the film. It's all about the references, in my opinion. So that is the experience. But Malayalam cinema was like, wait, Telugu did it, Tamil did it, Kannada did it. It's my turn now. They came up with Ba 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 with all the elevation that there can be. Firework that is flying around. You just catch it like it's a firefly and light your cigarette. All of that is. This is that film.
Firstly, I never expected I would see the intro card where it is written, "No, don't expect logic, only magic" in a Malayalam
Only
film.
madness.
Once that title card came, I prepared myself for what I am watching. And to be honest, it was entertaining. 2.5 hours of entertainment. Unlike him, lot of memes, lot of references. The best one for me is that Unnimukundan Associates reference where who's the OG Unnimukundan, the lawyer. So these kind of fun references. It is an entertaining film, but there is more to it. Let's get into the details.
In my opinion, what really works for me was, after Mohanlal's entry in the film is when it kind of, picks up the pace, in my opinion. In the first half, there's a lot of things happening and it was going everywhere. There's not a lot of comedy in the first half. It is more situational and how you perceive it. But in the second half is where you kind of, the film takes shape. It's not your typical, Malayalam film where there is this story going on which is really interesting or something like that. It's just a chef special. It's not something you order. So whatever you get, you take. And it is in the second half where the meal kind of, you start to understand what it is, you start to digest what it is and where it is going.
First thing that really worked for me is the mixture that they have prepared. The movie packs all the elements that is required to this genre. Again, how are you going to watch this film? What kind of audience are you? If you are somebody who enjoys these kind of film, is very subjective. But if you look at that genre and how those films are usually packed, I think Bha Bha Ba has all the right elements and ingredients packed. Though I feel comedic gags which are not just references or elements of nostalgia, which could cater to wider audience. Those kind of comedic gags are less in number in comparison to the references. But barring that, I think whether it is dance, all the elevation shots, so the packaging of this film is pretty solid.
Mohanlal dancing work. He said dancing a couple of times, but I'm saying Mohanlal Lalitan dancing.
Lalitan works.
Lalitan dancing. Lalitan works, but Lalitan dancing works supremely well. That is one of the few places where I was actually smiling and I was happily looking at the film. Otherwise, the film didn't really work for me, to be fully honest.
Point now, the second thing that really works in the film, the references in most portions really work. Like whether it is about Lalitan, whether it is about Gilly. I don't want to spoil, but the whole Gilly track, Talapati Vijay references, or Lalitan references, Dileep references, and even stupid genre movies is. You have to really get to the crux of it. You have to deal it in a way where everything sits well. I think that is more difficult than handling a nice thriller, because if one element doesn't work, that experience actually carries throughout the film. The references had a major role in elevating this movie, elevating the entertainment quotient of the movie.
I feel like the music in this film is a mixed bag because there were good parts, there were bad parts as well. For example, while Lalitan is dancing, the music, I don't know if it was the theater and the arrangement over there or if the arrangement of the song itself is so chaotic, but the song was all over the place. You couldn't really enjoy the music. It's just the dance and the visual we were seeing is very enjoyable, but the music was not. The music was mixed bag. It is good in some parts, it is not so good in others.
The background score was pretty solid in most of the elevation sequences. Other than that, it was pretty generic. But I think if Dileep and Mohanlal, because they are one of the most celebrated stars of Malayalam cinema, and if they are coming together to shake a leg, that song situation deserved a better audio, is how I would put it.
The editing was as basic as it gets. It was more a compilation than. There were many instances where there was scope for really creative transitions that could have happened, but all of that did not happen. And like I said, it is pretty standard. It felt like something that is taken off from a very typical Telugu film, not the ones that we see in modern times and rave about. It is a very standard typical Telugu film, something like a Bhairavam. So that was there. So with the technical departments, I feel like it was pretty standard, nothing that stood out.
So let's get into the things that didn't work. In terms of dialogues and some references related to whether it is the kidnapping episode that is happening in the movie, or some references which are very sensitive if you observe carefully, considering the situations around the actor Dileep outside and the recent court case that has happened. Some references, some dialogue went a little overboard. See, I understand that can account for some hooting and cheering, but it is very sensitive issue, and cracking jokes about it, or having those references, and that it completely didn't work.
We get that there's kidnapping happening in the film as well. That is basically the core element of the plot. Given the current situation and whatever happened recently with a case that has been going on, been in the news for a while now. Given that it just culminated and there's a lot of things that is already being said, and you can see that it was shot
Way
quite a while
before.
ago. It is not a film that happened after the end of the case, right? For all these elements to be thought of and added, and for the film to be releasing at this period, which is quite sensitive, I feel like the makers should have been a little more sensible about the whole case.
Let's get to the next part that didn't work for me in the film. Malayalam audience, come to our comment section below, and you go watch your Rohit Shetty films, you go watch your Bollywood films. These kind of comments we do get. We have Bha Bha Ba also. Again, that also I enjoyed thing, but one logic which is important for no logic films in general, irrespective of the industry, is you're not supposed to take your story seriously or have emotional elements in the film, which especially in the second half of Bha Bha Ba, that is the biggest problem of the film. Because yes, I've prepared myself to not take logics or anything seriously and just sit and get entertained, but then these emotional portions come. Why this comeback of the character that Dileep is playing in the film is important? Why is he rising? Why is that important? If you take the information that is happening in the actor's personal life, if you don't consider that, there is not enough weight that has been developed in the screenplay. But the emotional scenes keep coming. This is the man that you're supposed to, hoot for, cheer for, or support. That is when it becomes very complicated and disengaging.
Even from a practical point of view, what I felt was the most disengaging part is that yes, this is a no logic film, but you bring emotions into it, right? There's constantly reintroducing it. You're constantly reintroducing this is a comeback film. All of that keeps happening over and over and over again. And when you talk about emotions, that emotion comes with a certain sense. The sensibility is always there. For example, there is this whole sequence where there is this attempted jailbreak, and then there are a lot of things happening. A lot of police officers get brutalized with a lot of weapons. All of that is there. But at that moment, when the vandalizer is mortally wounded, it suddenly becomes an emotional thing. Oh, the vandalizer. How are we supposed to feel sympathy for the vandalizer when that same person has just brutalized all these people? And you've shown that with quite a lot of gore. If it's a no logic film, if it's a stupid film, there shouldn't be all of this. This film was only advertised as a all madness, no logic film, but then there's a lot of elements which were built taking into consideration how a normal film would be. When you say it's a stupid movie, the first thing that comes to mind is that it is going to be funny. Take the film Will Ferrell's Land of the Lost. Anything is happening over there. There's dinosaurs coming in. There's whatever, a lot of things happening. A lot of films, all the references from the Western world. But there is a story.
Yeah.
Where they get lost, they're trying to find their way. There is an obstacle. They get over it. This is the story.
There is an interesting story.
Yeah,
Not just
and
a story.
here the story was just all over the place and conveniently just concluded all of a sudden. There was no plot that was being followed. It was just whenever there is a stupid film, I feel like even emphasis on what the story is, no matter how stupid it is, an emphasis on the story should be given.
Again, comedy is subjective, like he mentioned. You might have a lot of fun. If you did, mention your review in the comment section below.
And if you're one of those guys like me who did not have a lot of fun with the film, do mention your opinions in the comment section below as well.
Yes. With that, this is Maruthi, Acharya,
I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
and you're watching India Today.